Afternoon, punters, and here we are again. Bit of punting Melbourne style to have a look at the track report for Flemington this Saturday, and just preview a couple of races. So it's a fairly complex set of circumstances leading into Flemington this week. So the most recent Flemington meeting on May 20. They were winning at any old price, some of them with no names at all, most of them midfield and beyond, and blending into the race with some cover from what was on that day a significant headwind on the turning section of the track. So for punters that have never looked at an aerial map of Flemington, that sweeping turn basically starts at the 1400 metre mark, and that, you know, it's all the way around to the home turn, so it covers almost 1,000 metres. So with the demolition of the old grandstand, it's opened that area up even more than it was previously. And sometimes there's things like there's a huge big tent there at certain times of the year that provide protection to it when they have Cirque du Soleil and things like that. But at the moment it's very open, and that breeze at the most recent meeting was gusting up to 35 kilometres. It was right, as soon as they started the turn at the 1400 metre mark, it was having an impact, and the more they turned, the more impact it was having. And it really just provided the on-pacers, the leaders, with no opportunity whatsoever. So that's something that will be in the minds of some people going to this week's meeting, but we will have a completely different set of circumstances there on Saturday with no wind at all. I was talking to the assistant track manager, Liam O'Keefe, out at the track today, and he said it's the lightest wind forecast they can ever remember. So there basically will be zero wind on Saturday. So that will, in and of itself, provide the leaders with an opportunity on Saturday, a much better opportunity than they got at the most recent meeting. Also, the rail moves out an additional 3 metres to the 6 metre position. So on Saturday, I'll just talk about the straight races first. Immediately after the May 20 meeting, Mick Goody aerated the verti-drained the track. Now those verti-drains put cushion into the track, and we've had very little rain in Melbourne since then, and the track has had to be irrigated since. When that irrigator goes over it and it gets onto that ground that's been cushioned by the verti-drains, it tends to compact it in the areas where the irrigation equipment is rolling around. So those areas are right in the centre of the track and the extreme outside, the outside 4 metres. It's the equipment that goes around the centre of the track is bigger, and that compaction effect is more significant in the centre lanes. So what we're dealing with on Saturday is the rail being out 6 metres. It's another 6 metres out to where those irrigation lanes start, and they're 6 lanes wide. So it's really 6 metres off the rail, or 6 lanes off the rail on Saturday, out to about 18 lanes off the rail, 12 lanes off the rail. I hope that all makes sense. So now in the straight races, I think those lanes will be worth at least 2 lengths. It could be as much as 5. So what I'm saying is, any jockey that doesn't get his horse into those irrigation lanes will be giving his horse no opportunity to win. The second best lanes on the course for the straight races will be the outside 4 lanes, but I think they'll be a couple of lengths slower than those the ones in the centre. So there's 3 straight races on the card, and that leaves us with 6 races around the circle. Now in the circle races, with the irrigation lanes being out 6 horses off the fence, it's too far for the leaders to go searching for those lanes. They would lose as much as they would gain by doing it. However, the horses that get naturally fanned into those lanes will have some advantage, right? But whether that's an advantage great enough for them to win the races or not will largely depend on the tempo of the races and how close they are to the leaders. So what I'm trying to drive at here is there is a good opportunity for leaders and on-pacers to win on Saturday, but only if they go quick enough. You know, remembering that they won't be experiencing any wind resistance. So if they go fast enough to break up the field. So I'm suggesting to jockeys that are riding leaders and outside leading horses on pace They come out of the gates naturally, not rushing, taking their time, and slowly build the tempo. And from the 800 metre mark, they want to start really stretching the field. If they don't do that, if they allow the field to stay in formation, peloton type shape, the horses that get fanned out into those lanes 6 to 12 off the fence will be close enough to use them. That's overall what I'm thinking. Now, to provide a real specific example of what I'm talking about, let's look at race 5 on Saturday. At the May 20 meeting, Czar Speed led into the teeth of that wind. He did a reasonable job to get to the 200 metre mark, but he was completely spent at that point, and he was beaten a significant margin. Now, on Saturday, the bonus of that is that it would have provided the horse with significant fitness, and he's a horse that once he gets fit, he's a bit of a flat track bully, and when he sort of reaches his peak in these off-season races, he can just dominate races. Now, he did that this time last year. He strung 3 or 4 together. In the race on Saturday, he's got no competition for the lead. Buckets Moore will be able to take his time getting there. And I'm saying if he's able to stretch the field out from the 800 to the 600 and, just pull the field apart a little bit, and if this horse returns to its ratings of this time last year, it has this race at its mercy. Now, it's currently around the $10 mark, which I think is pretty good value. And I'm asking any of our viewers there that are Twitter participants, which I'm not, because I've seen in the past Buckets gets on the Twitter, to pass on a message to him, ask him to watch this video, and if we can get D Moore to ride that horse with that kind of conviction, to stretch the field out on Saturday, I think we can back a winner at a really nice price. The second favourite, or the favourite in the race, is Zorcan, who had all the advantages on that track at Flemington, had the cover and had built his momentum at the right time. There's a number of other runners in the field that were somewhat flattered at the May 20 meeting by the pattern of the day. Horses like Amarilla and Portion Control. To me, they're all under the odds in this race on Saturday. And I think there's a really good opportunity for Czar Speed to win at race 5. And it will really help us to back a winner at a good price if we can get the message to D Moore and he rides that horse with a bit of conviction. It'll be tremendous. So let's also have a quick look at race 9. Really interesting race, big field, already 3 scratching, so only left with 1 emergency. Patton's got a start, who's first up for a long time, lightly raced Lloyd Williams horse, so he's one that's hard to assess. So let's start with the map. It's not a race with a really obvious leader, but we've got Schism up in distance, will probably be there on pace. Miss Universe has been racing handy. And out in a wider draw there, we've got Valiano, who is drawn sort of just outside midfield. It'll probably come across and race on pace. But there are other horses that'll be forcing forward from wide gate. So I think we'll end up with like a fairly even tempo and a fairly bunched field. So I'm thinking it'll be a race that you would rather win from midfield. I'm thinking midfield off the rails would be ideal. Unfortunately, the horse that's got the best lead-up run to this, and I say it with some caution, is because it's coming off a synthetic track. But Urban Ruler was absolutely dynamic recently on the Pakenham synthetic, and if he can bring that type of form to the turf, he really should be able to win this race. However, he's drawn gate 1, so he's sort of, there's a few pushes and pulls with him. He's got something that's very attractive, but he's got a draw that could be tricky, and he has to bring that synthetic form to the turf track. So, but he's certainly a runner I'd want on my side at his current price. He's $7.50 currently. Rewarding Effort's an interesting runner. He should be able to sort of slot into a 3-wide midfield top trail, which I think will be perfect with this race shape. He ran quite well down the straight first up in a race that was too fast for him. So I think he's a good double-figure chance in the race. Nikitas is fairly obvious game. We had 2 runs for Darren where one at Warrnambool, just regressed a little bit second up at Sandown, but it was, he still ran second. It was quite a nice run. He's a 3-year-old, third up. He's certainly right in the race. Sir Sagamore has run well in a lot of Flemington races that are similar to this, and I think he'll run an honest race, and he certainly won't be far away, and he's capable of winning at big odds. There's other runners in the race with a chance, several of them. Approved Angers, a horse that's improving with each run. Sort of, he's a fringe chance, I would think. And Guzzo's coming through a fairly strong 1600 metre race at Cranbourne. I don't know if he's quite fast enough to win this race, but I suppose he's a fringe dweller as well, as is Valiano. But it depends how this is race 9, so we'll have a good idea how the races are shaping up and whether it's possible to win these type of races from gate 1. It might turn out to be okay. So just got to keep an eye on the pattern there. And if gate 1's not a significant disadvantage, I think Urban Rule is the horse that would really want to back. And the main danger, I think, or the horse that attracts me in this race is Rewarding Effort, because I think he'll get the right run. That 3 wide midfield with cover, peeling into those lanes about 7-8 off the fence will be ideal for this race, and I think he's a good chance. So